All right. Hello, 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 and welcome to Shared Space. My name is LaQuida Chansey. I'm the founder and director of Baltimore Homes, and we have an awesome group here, Moms Demand Action. I'm excited to hear about all the lovely things you guys have going on, how you got started, and what is going to be in store for the future. So, first, let's get you guys introduced. Kiki, do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Hello, I'm Kiki Collins. Um, I'm the survivor membership lead for Moms Demand Action for Baltimore City, and I'm also a new survivor fellow with Moms Demand Action in every town.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so let's go ahead and introduce you. Tell us some more about yourself, Elaine.
Hi, thank you so much. This is very exciting. We're really happy to be here. I'm the deputy chapter lead, which is a statewide position for Maryland, and also a Baltimore City resident. So I get to work with so many incredible people from Baltimore. And frankly, Baltimore is our focus city. And so I feel really privileged to share the love from across the state and relay that kind of love to Baltimore because there is a lot from our organization. I also am doing a lot on city gun violence, community outreach, and of course, our survivors. So those are my three areas of chief responsibility with Moms Demand Action. And just so your viewers know, it's a Moms Demand Action is a grassroots gun violence prevention organization that started in the immediate aftermath of the Sandy Hook shootings, where many school children were killed, as well as many teachers. And that trauma led to the start of the organization. But as you well know, we have gun trauma here every day. So once you start really looking at the gun violence issue, it becomes a many faceted beast. And so that is what we're here to talk to you about because we're in a lot of different lanes to attack that beast.
Understood. I totally agree with that, especially when you're doing community work. It's never just one thing. It's like you start with that one thing and then it's an onion. You pull it back and you're like, oh, this is the cause of that. This isn't just, an issue by itself. And then you're like, oh, wait, no, these two things can lead to that. So it's definitely, I think of it as an ecosystem. Like we
Mm.
have to solve it in a whole wellness kind of idea. So, yeah, so like you said, it was sparked by what had happened in Sandy Hook, but we know that violence is everywhere. So, specifically in Baltimore, what is it that you all have? What type of work have you done here, or what do you have going on now?
I'll give it. Is it okay, Kiki, if I give just a quick
Sure.
overview, and then
You're
because
doing great.
Kiki's focus is really such the heart of our movement. I think we have so much as we need arms and legs to do things. We need a head to do things, but the heart really is the survivors who guide us and
Right.
inspire us and give us solutions. Frankly, that's a big part of what we do is just make sure there's a platform for survivors of gun violence to be able to speak their truth, speak truth to power, and also to give us the ideas that we need to move forward, as well as kind of giving us the emotional temperature that we need to address. So
Absolutely.
I want Kiki to delve into that, but just to give a very broad overview, city gun violence is our biggest focus here. The way we attack that here is two chief ways, and it's handled differently in many different cities, which is the great thing about this organization is we learn about this. We have trainings online. And in fact, one of the first trainings that we as leaders have to take is on implicit bias. So there's a huge emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that is something that I'm particularly proud of in the organization, that not all, some organizations are sort of coming late to the table to that. And, we started off in such a white space and then moved so quickly once we realized that you can't move anywhere without being together. We can't go on our own. Everyone is needed. So just to go to that, so in Baltimore, particularly from Moms Demand Action perspective, we support community violence interrupters and help advocate for them, advocate for funding, advocate for their messages. People like Safe Streets, ROCA, all these incredibly brave and smart people that are investing in the communities and neighborhoods to keep them safe right on the street level. Then we also have our community outreach and what we call the cleaning and greening projects, where we want to create peaceful spaces in neighborhoods. Then you would know that after working in the housing area, and that the neighborhoods can seem sort of tense and disrupted when you don't have a green space you can call your own. So we want to make sure that the community, we spend a lot of time listening to the community about what they want. We work primarily in 2 projects in West Baltimore now, one at St. Catherine's Park in Druid Heights, and one at the Family Survivor Network in Sandtown, Winchester. So those pieces come together under that heading. And then we also do a lot of community outreach. Kiki is being modest. She's also founded her own group called No Other Mother. And we have a variety of partners that we support in a variety of ways, whether it be fundraising, getting grants, providing just a social media platform, etc. So that's the bulk of our work. And then I'll turn it over to Kiki to talk a little bit about the survivor piece.
Yeah, so wait, Kiki, before you jump in, you gave a lot of information. You can't just say all that.
Right.
Dump all the information. Like, wow, like so many things that I want to pick out because it just resonates. You saw me snapping my fingers. I'm like, I've literally said those words before. To understand that your testimony is so powerful and your story is so powerful and you are enough, right? And just having everyone to know that, as well as having a safe space to be yourself and not feel like you're being judged or mocked or looked at or, so when I talk to people about, homelessness, I'm like, I build these shelters for anyone. I don't care what their vices are because I know myself. If I didn't know where I was going to sleep at night, anything to escape that reality is going to make me happy, because how do you deal with that on a consistent basis?
Absolutely.
And so those implicit biases or, conscious bias, some people know exactly what their bias is. They don't care that some issues are class issues or race issues and they're excluded from it. So just speaking to all of those different, I'm just sitting here like, yes, sister, yes, this is my language. Tell me more. Like, so also your clean and green. We were at cleaning up the Pender Hughes Elementary School, which is right there in your backyard, the Soundtown Winchester area, not far from Quincy Ave. So I'm familiar with where you're at because there's a lot of crime and a lot of drug activity and a lot of need in those areas, and being able to come through and clean and green so that people aren't upset about their neighborhood, because we know in those neighborhoods there's vacancy, there's blight, which attracts dumping, and then there's fewer resources. So just the whole idea of asset mapping and making sure that communities are whole. Like, I just love all of that and want you to know that I received it. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. So now, Miss Kiki, you didn't tell us about No Other Mother. You didn't tell us about, so I don't even know where you want to start, but Miss Kiki, tell us what you have going on as well.
I do. Sometimes I fall back sometimes, but July 31st, 2016, my middle son, Dante, was killed in Anne Arundel County at the age of 22. And of course, my life changed that day. Not that day, that second, that minute that I received those words, he didn't make it. Never in a million years that I think that I would be affected or my children would be affected. I have three boys, three young men. And I remember saying, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want another mother to feel this pain. Okay, that was just words, but I guess I spoke it into existence because in 2018, I went through a transformation and trying to find another outlet because what works for you a year ago might not work now. I always tell people to find an anchor, whatever that anchor is to keep you above water. Keep that anchor. Like you're going to need it because some days you're going to drown. Some days you're going to need, saving. But long as you have that anchor, I think that's what's going to keep you up, able to deal with your everyday, every second, every minute life. So I wanted a safe haven for moms to be able to still be a wife, a girlfriend, a mother to her remaining children, a pillar in a community because women hold so many titles and they're expected to still be able to function the way they were prior to any type of loss of a child, loss of a job. But I think the loss of a child is such a humbling experience. And being on this journey, I won't throw any blame at anyone, but you go through a lot with women and they don't know where to direct their anger. So sometimes they direct it to the person right in front of them, which is another woman that is experiencing the same thing they're experiencing. And I didn't want that anymore. So I wanted to create a safe space that they can come and they can share their pain. They can share their experiences. They can share what's going on in their household. Because if the woman is not uplifted and she's not getting what she's supposed to have, she cannot be an effective mother. She can't be an effective wife, girlfriend, daughter. So I like that space and I needed that space not only for myself, but I know it was other women that look like me, that sound like me, that cried like me, that needed the same thing. So it's been in existence since May of 2018. We're going on 4 years this year. Never thought that I would be able to be this person because I was one that cried every day for a whole year. So now my shoulders are strong enough that I can stand firm for other mothers that can't talk right now, that can't walk right now, that can't see past their pain right now.
Yeah, because there are a lot of mothers. We know that there's so much violence. So, to your point, women in general, there's so many mothers, sisters, cousins, aunties that are going through these things. And, they're expected to show up to work the next day
Exactly.
and fix dinner and go get the groceries and just keep it moving. And it's like, well, when do you face your trauma? When do you heal?
Exactly.
When do you talk about it? Like how
Exactly.
but the awesome thing in the worst kind of way, right, is that you were able to cry for a whole year. Some
Mhm.
people don't even get to acknowledge, they don't get to resonate those feelings, and it
Mhm.
festers inside.
Oh, of
So I
course.
know that it was a struggle to go through it, but at least at some point you were able to get it out, right? And I know it was a struggle. Like I don't even know what
Oh yeah. I mean, it
crying for
still
a
is.
year straight would be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
But I'm glad that you were able to find a way to release something to release at some point because some
Right.
people don't,
Nope.
and I'm glad that you're not there anymore. But every day is a struggle, like you
Every
said.
second is a struggle. Let me correct
Yeah.
that because
Yes.
I'm smiling right now, but an hour from now, and I might not. But the thing
Yeah.
about it is, I have so much in my life that brings me peace, that brings me happiness. That I had to learn my boundaries and I had to learn standards. And once I learned my boundaries and how to have effective boundaries,
Mhm.
then I was able to find more peace because I can shut down, and I will shut out anything that does not bring me what I need to keep on being me. And I refuse to give me up ever again.
Right.
So if that means leaving anything, shutting out anything, walking
Yes.
away from anything, I am so prepared and willing to do it. And that's one of my toxic traits as well. Because
I was thinking that, Kiki. I said, "Oh my God, that's one of my toxic traits." I don't want to say
Yes,
it that way
I mean,
because
I'm being transparent. That is one of my toxic traits that I'm always prepared to leave. And I don't want that. So I try my best because I used to always stay longer than I was supposed to stay. So
see,
now I leave
yes,
because it's a matter of life or death now. Because mentally, I could have
mm,
checked out years ago. And the
mm,
fact that I still am in my right mind, I just can't allow anything to disrupt that.
recognize that. Right, right.
Yeah.
Don't disrupt my peace. You cannot
Hmm.
disturb my
You
energy.
don't have permission to.
No, right. You're not
Yes.
allowed. I love
Yes.
that. I love that. I love that you were able to recognize that. You were able to put those boundaries out.
But it
'Cause,
took a lot of years,
yeah.
though. It took years, and it took so much hurt. And
Mm,
I take more chances with pain now, but
okay.
at least I try to recognize it before it gets there. But yeah, it took a lot more hurt, though. It took a lot more hurt for me to get there because it's like I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I said if I lay down again, I'm scared I might not get up. So
Mm,
that is what wills me to keep going because I've refused to lay back down. I know what that feel like. I know what it felt like to almost give up. I know what it feels like to almost lose my mind because I was constantly crying and sad and I didn't see the happiness, and I was jealous of you because you was smiling. I was jealous because you was happy. I was jealous because you had a path to what your life was going to look like. I no longer saw what life looked like to me because it just looked so bleak and it just looked gray,
yeah.
but it no longer looks like that. Like I can see the colors again, but I will not take away that every day it's a struggle. It is. I dig deep every day. Some days I don't have to dig as deep, but
Hmm.
some days I have to dig so deep I don't have the strength for anybody else but myself.
I understand that. I definitely understand that. So now, Kiki, I think that the sun has set in your background. Can you give us some light? Can you turn on? I need to see your
Yes,
face.
it
Yeah,
I
here
need
did
to
she's
that.
see your
I
face.
gorgeous
so
face.
apologize. It
No,
really
it's
did get dark.
fine. We can hear you, and your story is beautiful, and it needs to be heard
Wait a
because I
minute.
know that there are
Well, I
other
don't know
people
where
that
the
are
light
going
is.
through this. Right. You're like, I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I'm not sure where to go. I'm
wait.
like, but Kiki, we can't see you.
I'm sorry. It got dark.
She's hiding on us. We can
I'm
hear her
so
voice.
sorry. It got dark all of a sudden. It's okay. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get right here.
Okay.
Switched on every light in the room, and here's
Ta-da!
there you are.
And she's back. And she's back.
Yes, I do
So,
apologize. I did see it was getting dark, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" But I was so talking. So yeah.
yes. And we were listening. I'm like, wow, wait, I don't see her eyes anymore, but I'm still listening. I'm still listening. So tell us more about the journey that you share with the other women. Like, so now that you're in the position that you're in, you've healed some, right? You're
Yeah.
able to communicate your feelings, you're able to talk to other people and pour into others about the same issue. So how is that helping you to continue to heal, or do you think that that keeps you in that realm? How is that dynamic working for you in your life?
Um, it actually has helped me on my healing journey. It definitely has. But I've noticed over the years when I did not know about boundaries, like I wasn't taught that as a kid.
Right.
So when I didn't know about boundaries and how to set them and when to set them, I kept running into a brick wall. And
Mm.
it's like I keep giving so much of myself, I wasn't leaving any for myself. So once I learned to set boundaries, when my body say no, it's no. When my mind said not today, it's not today. So it helps me more. And I think I'm more effective for anyone at this stage in my life because I do know that when I need to shut down, I shut down. And it doesn't mean shutting people out. Shutting down just means shutting down from whatever is going to drain me at that time. So I take on more things that's going to uplift me so I could be more effective to the people that need me. So I didn't know the balance. So it's not only boundaries, but it was balance as well. And I just kept on. I remember for years, I was like, I'm trying to achieve this balance. And I didn't know what balance looked like because I was doing more of one and I was still weighing heavy on another side. So it's like, okay, continue having people that's in my space, people, places, and things that's going to keep pouring into me so I can in turn pour into others, but still be able to flourish and function and be as productive as possible.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So then, while you two have been working together, have you been building your teams together? And do you talk about that as you're building? Because I know as a nonprofit organizer and having to choose a board and working with volunteers and choosing the partnerships, it's a lot of everything, like it's a lot of work. It's no one day a week, it's no 1 hour, it's all hands on deck all the time. So how do you two work together to build the right team so that you have that support?
And
That is, can I start with that, Kiki? Is that okay?
I was just going to say, because I can honestly say we were put together. We weren't even handpicked. We were put together and it was created. Like, and I wanted to say that because what you see is like we in awe ourselves because we didn't do anything. We were just put in place and it was a perfect match. So now look, your turn.
Yeah, thank you. But I have to say, we learn from each other, Kita. I'm always learning from Kiki. I hope Kiki learns something from me. She is the best at taking her own emotional temperature, is all I can call it, and letting herself lean into that temperature rather than fighting it. And I have to learn that. And just seeing that is such a help, because this is a work that is very difficult. It can be re-traumatizing. That's another piece that I didn't mention, that the survivors in our group, once they feel up to it and prepared and emotionally in a place, they assist with all of our advocacy work, which means driving to Annapolis, sitting in front of a committee, or in this case, sometimes Zoom, in front of a committee of sometimes hostile legislators. Hopefully they're friendly, but sometimes they're hostile, and delivering your story, her story, sometimes over and over and over again, and developing that relationship, that these are not numbers that we are losing here in the city, even though you hear the horrible numbers, the unacceptable numbers, the ridiculous numbers every day. The person behind that number is a whole family, is a whole community, is our city. And that is something that the survivors in our group take on. And in some cases, that's part of the healing, that taking action is a part of their healing process. Not for all, and that is beyond acceptable. It's like, as long as they can get to where they're in a good place and being able to be themselves, that's the important thing. But then some find this as a healing measure. I want to go and help. And we've been, particularly this year, working on the ghost gun legislation that you may have heard about, to ban untraceable, unserialized weapons. Kiki was one of the people testifying. It is an incredible thing to see and to have as a witness. So I just wanted to add that as far as putting together, when Kiki says putting together, I can sort of navigate the kind of complications of the organization, and she brings her story and her truth, and that's irreplaceable. So
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, and we're all volunteers, by the way. This is a pure volunteer group. And so that is another part of this, is that we have to understand each other. And I think we don't always agree, but struggling together in a common purpose, even if you're struggling, is rewarding, right?
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Especially
we
if
can't
you're
agree all
struggling
the time.
together, you commiserate, like you complain together. It's fine. We'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, either way, the unfortunate thing is, every now and again, it's like that little bit of bonding, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we find it's a trauma bond and we need to, heal
Trauma
that. And
bonding. I love that.
hello,
Yes.
because it's easy to bond with somebody who's been with something, that you've been
That
through,
you
but
can
then it's
relate.
like,
Exactly.
okay, yes, now that we've mended on this, let's heal together. So
Oh
to your
man.
point,
Yes.
talking about it, sometimes that's why therapy is so great. Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
brings up those feelings, but genetically, that's how they say we heal our generational trauma. We have
Right.
to continue to talk about it.
Right.
So thank you for putting together, why you guys are such an awesome team. So when it comes to what you're going to do in the legislation, like you mentioned, the ghost gun legislation, how is that going to impact the work that you're doing, the groups that you're working with? What does that mean to me as someone who's like, hey, homelessness is my lane? What does the ghost gun legislation mean to me?
So, what we're striving to do is to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. So, if you can get a hold of a firearm that hasn't been registered, has no way to be traced once it's used in any kind of crime, once the people who do all that work find a gun that doesn't have any kind of markings to trace it, that makes it very difficult to find the perpetrator, find the people, find justice. So, I refer to ourselves as warrior healers, where
Mm.
you see Kiki is a healer, but she, on the flip side, is a warrior for justice. Absolutely. And that's what so many of this group do. They feel that healing mechanism, that striving toward healing the trauma in their communities, because that's an essential piece too. You've got a bunch of hurt people running around, and once they get a hold of a firearm, there's a deadly combination. So here you are in the housing space with people who may be frustrated, they're unhoused or looking for housing, that it's difficult to be on the street, and they may not be, they're not criminals. But guess what? I may be scared. I can be scared of being attacked. So I'm going to find a gun and just have it with me. I'm not intending to commit a crime. There's only that tiny percentage of the population who is criminally inclined. It's 0.5% of the entire scope of violent crime is done by the same people. 50% of violent crime is done by this 0.5% of people. And I know. And so you'd think you could find them and just say, all right, you're done. It's difficult if you can't trace their gun.
Yeah.
It's difficult if you can't do all the police work that needs to happen behind the scenes. So there is a very big connection. And then, of course, you have these people who now are scared because there is this very difficult element to find, and they get a gun. And so now you have a shootout when before you would have had a fist fight. And that is what we're trying to bring the temperature down, say there are other ways to settle this. That's where that trauma reduction, the trauma informed care goes. That's where the healing part with no other mother, with
Resolutions.
yes, with mothers talking to their children and saying there's other ways, and with mothers conveying this, this message of there are other ways to find your way through besides shooting your way out of a situation. And so we want to be honest with those talks and be able to convey that message. So it's, it's a tight connection, right? You've got people who need to feel secure, and this is not really the way to do it, but they think it is. And we try to,
Right.
no.
No, you're totally right. And what I find, like, even when I'm sometimes visiting the school system, high school, college, even, conflict resolution isn't really like one of those skills. It's not common sense. And it's really interesting to me because I think back that I'm one of those people who have been in therapy all of my life. So, and I've said it all my life. So even when people will be like, oh, you crazy. And I'm like, well, I'd be crazier if I didn't go to
If you
therapy.
didn't go therapy,
Like,
right?
like, I don't care. Like, call me what you want. I've been called worse. Who cares? You know
Right.
what I mean? But not everybody has that confidence. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a different kind of crazy, and I'm okay with it.
I
And I
love
tell
that.
people that all the time, but it's like, come into my safe space. You can be
Yes.
your kind of crazy, I'll
Yes.
be my kind of crazy, but we got to respect each other, right?
Exactly.
And so
Respect.
that conflict resolution is not something that people have. They go straight for a weapon or
But
to hurt somebody. Yeah,
it wasn't taught. Like, we weren't
yeah,
taught conflict resolution. We were taught, if you cried, don't cry. You better
right.
not
If
cry. Like,
somebody
we
hits
were
you, hit them
forced
back.
to not feel whatever we're supposed to feel. When you're
Right,
depressed, I'm depressed. No, you're not. You're just having whatever, a bad day. No, I'm actually depressed, So it's a lot of things that we were pushed not to do. So now that we're older, now we're trying to fix ourselves. So how are you
right,
fixing yourself at 40? How are you fixing yourself at
right,
50? How are you fixing
right,
yourself at 60 when you've been conditioned all of your life to be this certain way? But
right.
guess what? The great thing about it is that we have time,
Yes,
and that you
you do.
started, and it's places, and it's organizations such as moms. It's places where you can be who you have to be, and you're learning. So
Yes,
that's the great part about it. And it's places like this that's safe, that we can talk and people can hear what we're saying, because some people don't see you, and if they don't
right,
see you, they can't hear you. But once
right.
they can see you and put a face to what is being said, they are able to connect more. And that's
Yep.
what, how I became a part of Moms, because after the death of my child, and it's like, I went to a meeting they had, and I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, there's some powerful women, and they love up on, oh my gosh, the love you receive from this organization is amazing. And I needed all the love I can get. I still do.
Right. You
Right.
like, give it to me. Give it to me.
Yes, like, I welcome it. Like, you love me, okay, good, I need that one. So
Right.
I joined right away. So Lobby Day was that January of 2017. And it's like, yes. And there's more people, thousands of people that's loving up on me too. So it's like, okay. And it made me stronger. And people saw me and they heard me.
Mhm.
I see you. And when you think that you're invisible, when you
Right.
feel this small, it's like people said, I see you, I hear you. So it makes your voice go a little higher, and it makes
Yes.
you stand a little taller, because it's like, wow, I'm being seen and I'm being heard. So because of that, as I've grown, it's like, you know what? I'm already speaking.
Mhm.
So that's how I became interested in becoming a survivor fellow with Everytown and Moms, because I love sharing my story. I love being able to, you know, let people listen, because it's some people that's laying in their bed right now that can't get up, that all they needed to hear was something. It might be a word, it might be a sentence, it might be the paragraph, and it wakes them up, like, oh my gosh, there's someone else out here that feels that way. Because
Right.
somebody right now is looking at me thinking I have it all together. Somebody right
Right.
now is looking at me like, she lost a child 6 years ago almost, and she's still able to laugh, and she's whatever, but they don't know
The
that
journey.
every day I'm struggling to be who I am right now. And it took a
Right.
lot more pain to get here. So
Right.
I'm so transparent, and I'm so passionate about my walk, because I couldn't walk at one time. So
Mhm.
I don't want another person, not mother, but a parent, because the men handle their pain differently. They go out and work more. They go out and hang out with their buddies more, and they keep it bottled in. And it's like, I see you. Just like the women, like, I see you.
Mhm.
You're
Mhm.
safe with me.
Right.
So that's what I desire as well, to bring the men into it as well, to let them know it's okay. It's
Right.
okay. I know you were taught all your life not to cry. I know you were taught all your life to be that provider and be that strength. But guess what? Sometimes you don't have to be strong. Come home.
Mhm.
Come home, because that's where the women are. They
Right.
Our hearts are supposed to be their home. We're the nurturers. We're the ones that say, you know what, you fight that battle outside, but when you come home, I got you.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people, that's what a lot of these men don't hear. They don't get. So they feel like they have to be defensive toward us. Some men hate women because of how
Yeah.
they were brought up and what they were told. So when they see a woman that wants to love them and wants to listen, they shy away like, whoa, I'm not
They don't
used to it.
understand it. Yeah.
Right. So I'd rather go to the toxic person that's putting me down, that's not allowing me to be who I need to be the best I can be out here,
Right.
to fight the battles that they fight that we know nothing about.
Mm,
And when they do that, they have to come back to something safe. But
right.
because a lot of them don't have a safe space, they
There's
out here
no
wreaking
release.
havoc.
There's no release. Yes.
Exactly.
That leads to crime, it leads to violence. And then
Exactly.
to your point, if the men, like you said, if they want to go and work more or hang out with their boys more, well, if their boys are locked up and there's no
Ex-
jobs available, like there's so many layers to
Yes.
it. You know what I
So
mean?
that goes back to that onion.
Yes, it goes back to the onion. Like
Yeah.
we can't just start or stop with where we're at. We have to think of it holistically. So let me ask you this: for the people that are watching and they're like, "Well, I need to be a part of this group." How do they find you? How do they tap in? How do they get help? How would that happen?
The easiest way is to put, if they themselves or they know someone who they'd like to get help to be as a survivor of gun violence, is to just put in your phone survivor to and text 64433. So again, it's 64433.
Mhm.
Put in, just text survivor, and that will bring up a notice to our Everytown Survivor Network, and they will be able to call them back and just kind of assess, where are you now? Where are they? They listen and, help, decide on a course of action. So again, that's a really important thing. And if they just want to support our cause, you can just text join to 64433, and join will allow them to get messages, text, and email about what we're doing next. And we've got plans for doing more work that we need arms and legs for. I talked about the heart and the arms and legs and the head. It's legislation is going to happen. That's going to be winding down pretty soon, but then we move into doing some really hard work about gun violence awareness, like telling the stories again and again, uplifting the voices of survivors and our community partners who are on the street every day. We're talking about Let's Thrive Baltimore for Youth, No Boundaries Coalition, which is doing a vast range of support and help and work. There's the Kevin L. Cooper Foundation that is supporting youth in another part of Baltimore. We have got so many partners that are doing this incredibly powerful work in all areas related to this. And as you know, Quida, they're overlapping. They're overlapping with housing. They're overlapping with health issues and youth employment and youth training and just summer camps. I mean, can we have more summer camps this summer, for goodness sake? And we're very strong on wanting to make sure we've got activities to keep our youth safe and productive over the summer. And so that's why we say, just text join and, join us. We'd love to see you. And also, Kiki, no other mother has also its own way of getting in touch. So I don't want to bypass that by
You're
yammering.
fine. You're fine.
I love that. So you guys have so much going on. You're offering people help. I heard you mentioned that you have a bunch going on during the summer. Tell me more about, is it the Wear Orange campaign? Tell me more about that.
Yes, Wear Orange is our gun violence awareness weekend. This year it's June 3rd through 5th. Our dynamic and incredible Wear Orange lead is Lisa Moloch, who also is the founder and executive director of Let's Thrive Baltimore, is going to be putting together a team to conduct programs. Last year, we had orange ribbons that we took to area parks and attached the names of people we knew who had been taken by gun violence and hung them on trees or on fences. And it gave the neighborhood and community a place to go and reflect and to think about their loved one and to not feel as though they've been forgotten. And it's amazing because I was going to, help take the ribbons down from one of the parks, and then the neighborhood said, no, leave them. We want them. So they are still there and they look fantastic. I'm really glad we got high quality ribbons, but the names are there. The ribbons are there. We don't know. And also it was really incredible because there was a lot of interest from the media, because how do you recognize these losses that happen over and over again? So that was one way that we did that. What it's going to look like this year, because COVID is letting up a little bit. We did so we were all outdoors last year, and we're not taking a chance on risking the health of our incredible volunteers. So we don't know exactly what it'll look like, but if you'd like to join the team, again, just text join to 64433 and we'll start getting word out very shortly.
Awesome. And so there's a couple of other things you guys had going on. There was a Be Smart campaign as well. Is that year wide, or is that this summer also? How does that work?
No, that is year round. Be Smart is our way of presenting to people how to keep their families safe when there is a firearm in the house. You can have a firearm and be a responsible gun owner. And we are not discouraging that at all. But when you have young children home, particularly during the pandemic when they were home so much, we had many ads running, we had a lot of social media around that. And now it is returning to a more normal type of, take responsibility for your firearm. So it should be locked, unloaded, and, stored away from a child. And that message goes out all the time. We have teams that are dedicated to the Be Smart message, and we go to generally like health fairs, mental health days, have a table, because often too, some people will want to harm themselves when they are in a bad place. And you don't want them to have access to a firearm, because that's the most lethal way of dealing with your depression. So that's a very important part of that too, is to make sure that people understand that there's a lot of opportunity when you are not securing your firearm safely. So we bring awareness to that. But Be Smart is a really fantastic campaign. If anyone is interested in that, join 64433 and we'd love to see you. Thank you for putting that up. And it makes a huge difference, because in some cases you think, oh, a 3-year-old will never be able to, pull a trigger. It's, you've got to be strong. No, they can do it. And they know if you have been, if they go to a grandparent's house, how do you ask that grandparent, are your firearms secured? So Be Smart gives some advice on how do you just bring that up without being confrontational. You ask, on a play date, hey, my son's allergic to peanut butter. And also, I just need you to know that, we're concerned about firearms in the home. What kind of precaution? Do you have a firearm? What kind of precautions do you take? And make it a natural conversation, just as you would protect a child from anything else. So Be Smart is a really effective, evidence-based method of making sure that you're keeping your family safe.
I love that. So for any of your programming, did you guys find that during the pandemic you had to do some virtual outreach and virtual programming to make things work? And now, what are you doing? Are you staying virtual? Are you hybrid? Are you in person? What are we thinking? What's in store for the future? What are we going to do?
Well, we got creative, Kiki, didn't we?
Yeah. Oh gosh.
we were exhausting so many avenues to reach people, because things were just not normal. And so we got really good at social media and really good at Zoom. And so we're continuing that, because we found that there was actually a silver lining with the Zoom, that the whole state could meet together.
Right.
And draw strength from each other, get ideas from each other. Yes, the whole Maryland, as well as getting training from across the country. So that aspect will keep up. But just today, I was talking with another volunteer about, where can we get together in person? Where would be convenient? what has parking and a bus lane and decent coffee and maybe some chicken? You know, you have to, you have to have all these
chicken and crabs.
Right, like, does it check all the boxes? Because
boxes.
now that we're going to be in person, this matters.
Right, right.
Yes.
So we have a very food-oriented group. You have to admit.
I'm the same way. I love that. I love that. So what I wanted to mention though is because you guys are in Baltimore, I know you're nationwide, but because you're in Baltimore, we do a walk with the doc at Lake Montebello, 9 a.m. And we walk around the lake, and it's a doctor from either Hopkins or wherever, but we talk about anxiety and we talk about mental health and wellness. But walk with the doc every Sunday, 9 a.m. at Lake Montebello. And we've just started up. So we did it for 10 weeks last year, and now we just started up now that spring is here. And I think that you guys should come out. You can bring a friend and join us and hang out. I think it would be a great conversation. Some of your partners have even been out there with us. So I think it would be great to continue to convene, right? Like, let's continue to build, because I love that you're speaking my love language. Like, the whole time I'm like, heart emoji in my eyes. You guys are speaking my love language. You're talking about the layers. I'm working on digital equity, and in so many ways, like, Zoom connects us, but there's so much of Baltimore that all they can do is work from their phone.
Yes.
It's not the same for students when they're doing their homework. You can't work from home on your phone or get a job. So all these different things that tie into all the layers of the onion. I would love to continue the conversation and, bring you guys back on here as well. Like,
awesome.
I feel like, I don't know where Chap is. He was supposed to be here, but who knows? We think you guys are awesome.
He missed out.
Yes. Come back and co-host and bring a friend. This was awesome.
It was.
So tell us more about anything that you feel like you didn't get to say, or last words, or an event coming up. What do you want to add, or what did we miss?
I will add, first of all, that Kiki mentioned being a Survivor Fellow. You have to apply for that. It is not automatic, and she was one of the few people accepted. So she is going through a program, and the Survivor Fellows are, she's very modest. I have to do this. And the Survivor Fellows have provided training on healing methods, on presentation skills. It is high level communication skills. And so it's a huge investment. And, Kiki's taken this on, and we're super proud and supportive of that. So that's one thing I did want to mention but we will be getting together. We do send out messages, again, by text and by email. So once you sign up, we'll know that you're in, give us your zip code in Baltimore City, so we'll know where you are. And we'd love to include you. And I also want to thank you for the invitation for the walk with the doc. Thank you.
Yes. And now that I hear Kiki is going through this cohort, I almost feel like you need to be one of the official docs that come and walk with us.
Yes. Look, and I'm on that side of town too, so that is even better.
I love it. So, Kiki, did you want to add anything? Did you want to say bye? Did you want to give anybody? Did you forget about anybody? What did you want to add?
I probably did. When you see
baby denim, say hi to baby
my
denim.
new grandbaby that's 3 weeks old, my first one. So that have added to my healing. Trust me.
Yes.
And as far as no other mother, I am so honored that I can still have that space and still do what I have to do, because it all comes together, but it doesn't take away from anything. But if anyone wants to get in contact with me, they can go through the group on Facebook, because it started as virtual.
Okay.
And so it's women from all over. And it's continued to be virtual. So they can go on Facebook at No Other Mother Circle, or they can find me on Facebook under Kiki Collins. I'm the one with the big old smile. No. Or they can email me at ccollins, the number 1, the letter B, the number 4 at gmail.com.
Kiki, that was way too much. Hold on.
I know. We can stick with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that looks good.
We can stick with that.
I said, wait, the number 4. Okay.
I know.
I'm
I've had it for years and I just didn't update it, so I apologize.
It's okay. I'm going to get it from you. We'll put it in the show notes at the end. People will still be able to look through it, see it in the description. Don't worry, we got ways to fix it all, okay?
Yes.
Look, we just talk through it together and that'll be fine. So I can't wait to come to visit you all in West Baltimore. There's so much development over there. I know Black Women Build, they're building over there.
Yes.
Bree Jones from Parity, Nika Nambi from Fight Flight Be More, and they're all right there by No Boundaries Coalition. So I'm going to come over there one day and see you guys. Like I said, every now and again, we're over there doing some sort of cleanup. I'm hoping you all can come to the Lake Montebello and walk.
And when is that again?
Sunday mornings at 9 a.m.
Sounds good. Okay.
It's bright and early. Hopefully, if you go to church, it's later on in the afternoon, or you can look at it on Zoom like I had to do a couple times.
Yes.
But that's between friends, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a place at Lake Montebello that you meet? Like, it's a big lake.
That's a great question. We're right there at the corner of Hartford and 33rd.
Great.
So right there at the big sign that says Lake Montebello. That's a great question.
Okay.
I always forget. I'm like, people are going to see us. No, they don't always see us.
Awesome.
And I might be late and running to catch you. So
and see, so we start with a stretch and mindfulness. So you have a little time to get late. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm excited, ladies. It was so good to meet you. I can't wait to get you back after your June campaign and get some updates. And we'll be talking to you soon. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. And we will be seeing you guys same bat time, same bat channel next week. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.